Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into a really fascinating look at a specific slice of the global tech market today.
Yeah, looking forward to this one.
We're diving into the world of Bluetooth keyboard modules.
Right, those little components making wireless typing happen.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And we've got some solid source material here, detailed insights from a 2025 market report by Cognitive Market Research.
It's pretty comprehensive. Covers 2021, looks ahead to 2033.
Yep. Trends, performance, projections, the works. So our mission really is to kind of pull out the key takeaways for you.
Distill it down.
Right. Help you understand this market landscape, the size, the growth, what really stands out in the data. Basically, get the important stuff without reading the whole thing.
Makes sense.
Where should we start?
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the big picture, the global view.
Okay.
Looking at the overall market for these modules, the report puts it at around $1.23 billion back in 2021.
A decent size already.
Yeah, and it's projected to hit roughly $1.33 billion by 2025.
And then the forecast goes out to 2033, expecting it to reach over $1.56 billion.
So steady growth then.
That's right. It translates to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of about 2% over that whole period, 2021 to 2033.
What's fascinating here is that 2% CAGR, it's not explosive, is it?
No, not huge.
But it signals very steady, very consistent demand. This isn't some, flash-in-the-pan gadget component.
Right, it's foundational.
Exactly. It points to continued relevance across major sectors. Think consumer electronics, tablets, phones,
Sure.
office setups going wireless,
Yep.
definitely. And, of course, the huge demand for mobile computing accessories. It's everywhere, really.
Yeah, it's that little piece enabling so much of our wireless life.
Okay, but where is this growth actually happening? Let's start with a big one. North America.
Okay, North America.
So the report shows the market there was pretty substantial, around $380 million in 2021,
Big chunk.
and it's expected to grow steadily, over $405 million by 2025, and hitting about $457 million by 2033.
So that puts the regional CGR for North America at just under 1.5%, 1.492% to be exact.
Okay, so a large market size,
Right.
but like you said, growing a bit slower than that global 2% average.
Yeah.
And if you look within North America, you see some interesting variations.
Yeah.
Well, the U.S., naturally, it's the dominant player. Makes up the lion's share of the market value.
Made sense.
But its projected growth rate, it's around 1.36%. That's actually the slowest in the region.
Huh. Slower than Canada and Mexico.
Yeah. Canada shows slightly stronger growth, nearly 1.87% CAGR.
Okay.
And Mexico actually leads the pack in North America. Its CAGR is over 2.3%.
Wow. Okay. That's a bit counterintuitive, maybe. Why would Mexico be growing faster than the U.S. in this specific component?
Well, that difference is quite telling, I think. It could reflect different stages of market penetration or maybe adoption speed.
Okay.
In mature markets like the U.S., maybe most people who want a Bluetooth keyboard accessory already have one, right? So growth comes from replacement cycle.
Right. Upgrades or replacements.
Exactly. Whereas in a market like Mexico, that higher CAGR, it suggests a faster rate of new adoption. Could be linked to, a growing middle class, more internet access, maybe specific local manufacturing trends using these modules.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just the total size, it's the momentum. Okay. Let's move across the Atlantic. Europe. What's the story there?
Hi, Europe.
The total European market valued around $300 million in 2021.
Okay, so a bit smaller than North America, but still significant.
Yeah. Projected to grow to about $320 million by 2025, and then hitting nearly $370 million by 2033.
Got it.
The CAGR for Europe as a whole, it's sitting at 1.829%.
Okay, so again, contributing a lot to the overall market size. Similar to North America in value, roughly, but also slightly below that global average growth rate.
Okay.
And similar to North America, Europe shows a varied picture when you drill down into the countries.
How so?
Well, the UK actually shows the strongest growth momentum in the region. Its CAGR is just over 2.5%.
Oh, interesting. Leading Europe there.
Yeah. And Germany also shows significant steady growth, nearly 2.2% CAGR.
Okay.
But then other large markets like France, Italy, Spain,
Yeah.
they show more modest gains. Their KGRs are generally below 1.5%.
So a slower pace compared to the UK or Germany.
Exactly.
Right.
Spain, for instance, is projected around 1.3%.
Hmm.
So it really reinforces that even within these big developed regions, the dynamics aren't uniform.
Yeah, definitely not. Some countries are clearly adopting or replacing these things faster than others. Local factors matter.
Precisely. Consumer preferences, economic conditions, specific industry pushes, it all plays a role, even for something like a keyboard module.
Okay, now, here's where the report says it gets really interesting.
I think I know where you're going.
Let's shift focus to the Asia-Pacific region, APAC. The report flags this as the fastest growing segment globally.
Yep, the growth engine.
The APAC market was already large, over $402 million back in 2021.
Right, already bigger than Europe.
And it's projected to climb near $450 million by 2025 and then shoot up to a pretty significant $554 million by 2033.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It is. And that growth trajectory gives APAC a really robust CAGR of 2.656%.
So noticeably higher than North America or Europe. That's definitely driving the overall global number up.
For sure.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, yeah, APAC is clearly the driving force.
Okay.
The scale and the speed within APAC are just remarkable.
Okay, break that down a bit.
Well, China, as you'd probably expect, is the largest single market by value, a huge chunk of the APAC total.
Right.
And it's growing fast too, nearly 3% CAGR. But look at India.
Yeah.
While it starts from a smaller base than China in terms of total value, its projected CDR is the highest in the entire region, over 3.1%.
Whoa. Over 3.1%. That really stands out. What's fueling that kind of rapid expansion in India?
It's likely a combination of factors. You've got a massive young population there,
Sure.
a rapidly expanding middle class, explosive growth in smartphone and tablet use. A lot of users might be mobile first.
And a Bluetooth keyboard becomes essential for productivity.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
A lot of users might be mobile first.
And a Bluetooth keyboard becomes essential for productivity then.
Exactly. It's a market where new tech adoption is just happening incredibly fast across a huge user base.
Right.
Plus maybe local manufacturing playing a role too.
Makes sense. And it wasn't just India, right? Southeast Asia looks strong too.
Absolutely. Southeast Asia as a whole is projected to grow at almost 3% CAGR as well.
Wow.
Yeah, countries across that region are seeing rapid digital transformation, economic development.
Mm-hmm.
It's driving demand for these mobile computing accessories. Market penetration is probably increasing quickly from a lower starting point compared to, say, Europe.
Gotcha. So, yeah, while North America and Europe are these large, stable markets, APAC is really where the momentum is, the future growth. That difference in pace is pretty stark.
It really is.
Okay, let's quickly touch on the other regions. South America.
Right, South America.
The report indicates the overall market there was around $74.7 million in 2021, expected to grow to about $88 million by 2033.
Okay.
That gives South America a CGR of 1.462%.
So slightly lower than North America and Europe, and definitely slower than APAC.
Yeah. Brazil's the main player.
Brazil remains dominant within South America, yeah. Makes up a large share of the value. Its growth rate is kind of in line with the regional average, though.
And others.
Argentina, Colombia, they follow suit. Steady but moderate growth. The overall picture is, well, consistent expansion, but not rapid.
Okay. Shifting focus again, Middle East.
Middle East.
Valued at nearly $39.4 million in 2021. Forecast to hit over $52 million by 2033.
Right.
Now, this region shows a healthier CAGR than South America, North America, or Europe. It's almost 2.4%.
Oh, interesting. Closer to the global average, actually.
Yeah.
Stronger than the developed markets.
Yeah. Any standouts there?
Saudi Arabia really stands out. A particularly robust growth rate predicted, close to 2.8%.
Wow.
It suggests pretty strong ongoing tech adoption, maybe infrastructure investment, using these components in places like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, too. They show strong potential.
Got it. Okay, last region, Africa.
Africa.
The market there totaled around $33.5 million in 2021, anticipated to reach nearly $40 million by 2033.
Okay, so the smallest region in terms of current value.
Right, and this gives Africa a KGR of 1.403%. According to this report, that's the slowest regional growth rate.
And within Africa.
South Africa leads, followed by Nigeria.
Makes sense.
The rest of Africa combined, while still a decent chunk of the value, shows particularly modest growth predicted, under 1% CAGR.
Right. So that suggests that while tech adoption is increasing across the continent, the market for this specific component, the Bluetooth keyboard module, is still developing in many areas compared to other regions.
Okay, so we've gone around the globe, looked at the numbers, the growth rates. What does this all mean when we pull it together? What are the key takeaways you see from this report?
Well, I think based on this analysis, the global market shows that predictable, steady growth overall, right? Around that 2% mark we talked about.
Yeah, moderate but consistent.
Exactly. But the real story is definitely in the regional variation.
For sure.
Asia Pacific is, well, it's the undisputed growth engine. Highest regional CAGR, driven by the sheer scale of China, but also that incredibly fast adoption rate in places like India and Southeast Asia.
Can't ignore that 3% plus growth in India.
Absolutely not. And then in contrast, you have the developed regions, North America, Europe. They represent large existing markets, significant value.
Yeah, the biggest chunks currently.
Right, but they're growing at a slower pace. It suggests different market dynamics are at play, maybe closer to saturation, maybe more driven by those replacement cycles we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So this report, it really underscores how these big global tech trends,
Yeah.
the shift to mobile work, flexible work, the need for wireless everything, how they manifest differently depending on the economic development, the market maturity of specific regions. The demand isn't uniform. It's really surging where that new adoption is highest.
It's fascinating, yeah. Seeing her market numbers paint a picture of global tech adoption patterns. This deep dive into the cognitive market research report, I think it gives us a really solid handle on the landscape and trends for these modules over the next decade or so.
It definitely does. And, it raises an important question, maybe something for you, the listener, to consider.
Yeah.
Well, as devices become more modular, work gets more flexible. How might these different growth rates we've discussed, particularly that rapid pace in APAC versus the steadier state elsewhere, how might that influence innovation? Or maybe the types of wireless peripherals that become most popular globally in the coming years?
Good question. Like, will the features demanded in faster growing markets start dictating global trends?
Potentially. Or will we see more regional specialization? It's interesting to think about. What stands out to you from these numbers about the future of how we interact with our devices?
Definitely something to ponder as you think about how these trends might impact, your own tech setup or maybe even broader industry shifts. That wraps up our deep dive into this market report. We hope this gave you some valuable insights.
Okay, let's unpack this. You know how your phone or tablet, it's basically become this amazing portable computer you have with you all the time.
Absolutely. And you're always trying to squeeze in some productivity on the move, right?
Exactly. Drafting emails, maybe working on documents, just trying to get stuff done.
That drive for being productive anywhere, it's universal now. But, well, trying to type out a long email on a glass screen, that's often where things get tricky.
Totally. The touch keyboard is fine for quick messages, sure, but for actual work, not so much. And that's really why something like a Bluetooth keyboard module has become, well, almost essential for a lot of people. So today, we're doing a deep dive into this whole world.
Yeah, we've been looking through various sources, including market analysis, like some reports from cognitive market research to get a handle on things.
We're going to explore what's pushing this market forward, what roadblocks are still there, and where the tech seems to be going next.
Okay, let's jump in.
Right. Our mission here is basically to pull out the key insights, the important stuff shaping this critical bit of mobile tech.
So where should we start? Maybe with what's really driving the growth.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And the most obvious driver, really, is just the sheer number of tablets and smartphones out there now. They're everywhere.
They really are. And they're not just for watching videos anymore, are they? People genuinely expect to get work done on them.
Whether you're a student trying to write an essay on your tablet, maybe between classes,
or a professional juggling emails and reports while traveling. Adding a physical keyboard just transforms these devices. They go from being sort of casual gadgets to actual workstations.
that's a good way to put it.
And this need for better input, it's a huge factor. Some sources even suggest this demand for good accessories has actually helped boost global tablet sales overall.
Interesting. So having the right tools makes the device itself more appealing. And that need for tools, it got a massive push from the second big driver, right? The whole shift to remote work and remote learning.
Oh, absolutely. The pandemic was a huge catalyst, wasn't it? Suddenly, home was the office or the classroom.
And even though things have settled a bit, that hybrid model, remote work, e-learning, It seems like it's definitely here to stay.
For sure. People aren't just chained to one desk anymore. They move around.
Right. And they might be using a mix of things, a work laptop, their personal tablet, maybe their phone.
Often running different operating systems too. Windows, Mac OS, Android, iOS, the whole lot.
And that's where Bluetooth keyboards really fit in perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah, because they give you that portable wireless typing experience. And often they can work across different devices without needing specific cables for each one.
It's that flexibility.
Exactly. It enables productivity without being physically tied down.
Yeah.
Freedom from cables, like you said.
Freedom from cables, and maybe freedom from a fixed location, too.
Yeah.
Which ties into the third driver, people just really liking compact, lightweight gadgets.
Yeah, there's a definite preference for minimalist tech, things you can easily carry. And manufacturers, well, they've noticed.
You see that in the designs, right? Ultra-thin keyboards, ones that fold up.
Some fold up really small. You could almost put them in a pocket.
Which is amazing, really.
It is. And this focus on portability, it's a direct response to user demand. People want the functionality, the convenience, but they don't want the bulk.
So size and weight are huge selling points now. It's pushing innovation in the actual physical design, not just the electronics inside.
Definitely. Form factor matters a lot.
Okay.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
Not just the electronics inside.
Definitely. Form factor matters a lot.
Okay, so strong drivers pushing things forward.
Yeah.
But like any tech, it's not all smooth sailing. What are some of the main challenges or frustrations people still run into?
Well, one that comes up a lot is device pairing issues. I think anyone who's used Bluetooth stuff has probably hit this wall at some point.
Oh, yeah. That moment of why won't it connect, or when it just randomly drops. It's infuriating.
Right. And it often comes down to slight differences in Bluetooth versions between the keyboard and the device.
Like they're speaking slightly different dialects?
Kind of. Or sometimes it's inconsistent software support, the drivers, on the phone or the computer side. And for someone who isn't super tech savvy, that can be incredibly annoying. It just makes the whole thing feel unreliable.
Yeah, if the basic connection isn't rock solid, that's a big hurdle.
Yeah.
What's another technical challenge?
Latency and interference are still concerns, especially in certain environments.
You mean like busy places with lots of wireless signals flying around?
Exactly. Think of a crowded office, maybe a co-working space, or even a classroom full of devices. All that wireless traffic can sometimes cause delays.
That little lag between hitting a key and seeing the letter appear?
Yeah, that's latency. Or it can cause the connection to drop momentarily. That's interference. Bluetooth shares the same frequency band as Wi-Fi, so they can kind of step on each other's toes.
Right.
And for people who need really fast, smooth typing, maybe professionals taking quick notes or coders, those little hiccups can really disrupt their flow.
You need that instant feedback. Okay, so pairing, latency. What's the third main challenge?
Power consumption is still a factor. Now, Bluetooth has gotten way more energy efficient, especially the newer versions.
True, batteries seem to last longer these days.
They do. But a wireless keyboard still needs its own power source, right?
Yeah.
It inherently uses more power than a keyboard that just plugs in with a wire.
So you got another thing to charge. Or replace batteries in.
Yeah.
Adds to the mental load a bit.
It does. And it means, compared to a wired one, there's always a limit on uptime. For really ultra portable setups where every bit of battery life counts, it's still a consideration.
Okay. So we've got the forces driving demand and these ongoing challenges. Let's look ahead then. What are the key trends that show us where this tech is evolving?
Well, one of the biggest technical shifts is the widespread adoption of Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE.
Ah, yes, BLE.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be in everything now. Fitness trackers, smart home stuff. How does it really change things for keyboards?
It's a massive deal for battery life. BLE is designed specifically for sending small bits of data, like keystrokes, very efficiently. So keyboards using BLE can run for months, sometimes even like a year or more on a single charge or set of batteries.
Wow.
While still staying connected and responsive. It directly tackles that power consumption issue we just talked about.
That's a huge improvement. It makes them way more practical for mobile use, right?
Totally. And it lets manufacturers use smaller batteries, which helps with making them lighter and thinner, too.
Okay, so BLE is a major step forward. What else is trending?
Multi-device switching. That's becoming almost a standard feature people expect now.
You mean being able to easily switch the keyboard between, say, your laptop and your tablet?
Exactly. Or maybe your laptop, tablet, and phone. Just hit a button and it connects to the next device.
Yeah, I've seen those. Super handy.
It really is. It just reflects how people actually work and live now, constantly moving between different screens.
It smooths out the workflow, doesn't it?
Definitely. For professionals, for students looking at notes on one device while writing on another, even just for general convenience, it removes that friction of having to repair or juggle multiple keyboards.
Makes sense. A clear trend towards convenience. What's the final key trend you're seeing?
There's an increasing focus on customization and also ergonomic design.
Hmm.
Manufacturers are going beyond just the standard flat rectangle.
You need things like specialized gaming keyboards with flashy lights?
That's part of it, yeah. But also things like split keyboards for better ergonomics, keyboards with different key switch types for a preferred feel, maybe even modular components or software to remap keys.
So tailoring the keyboard to specific needs or preferences.
Precisely. Recognizing that different people have different uses. Maybe it's intense gaming, maybe it's coding all day, maybe it's needing features for accessibility, or just wanting something more comfortable for long typing sessions.
Offering those specialized options becomes a way to stand out in the market, I guess.
It's definitely becoming a competitive differentiator.
It really sounds like the technology is actively adapting, trying to meet those user needs and solve some of those earlier problems.
It absolutely is. It's a constantly evolving space.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap as we wrap up this deep dive. The big picture for Bluetooth keyboard modules.
Yeah.
Demand is really strong, right? Driven by how much we use our mobile devices for actual work now.
Yep, the rise of tablets and smartphones as productivity tools.
And by the whole remote and hybrid work thing sticking around.
That flexible work style.
Plus our general desire for gadgets that are super portable and convenient.
Those are the big tailwinds. But, as we discussed, there are still those technical speed bumps.
Right. Pairing can still be fiddly sometimes.
Occasional pairing frustrations.
Latency and interference can pop up in busy wireless areas.
Potential for lag or dropout.
And you still have to think about power compared to wired keyboards.
The power consumption trade-off.
That hard, the market is definitely moving. We're seeing real innovation happening.
For sure. Key trends are tackling those challenges, like BLE dramatically improving battery life.
Yeah, Bluetooth Low Energy is huge. And that multi-device switching making life easier.
Seamless switching for multitasking.
And then the growing options for customization and better ergonomics.
More tailored designs for specific needs and comfort. It's a really dynamic area, constantly changing based on how we actually use technology.
And again, these insights we've been discussing, they're drawn from various analyses, including work by cognitive market research.
That's right.
So thinking about all this, the constant push for more features, more convenience, but also those technical hurdles that still need work, here's something for you, our listener, to chew on. What do you think is the most exciting potential future development for these Bluetooth keyboard modules? And maybe, what's the one challenge you really hope they crack next?
Yeah, definitely something to think about next time you reach for your keyboard.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.